All right, what's up, guys? I want to talk today about fighting through a tough start and a couple mental errors to still put together a good round. So, I want to take you back to a tournament I played just before the 4th of July here over at JW Parks. So, couple things just to set the stage. It was downpouring on the first three holes. So, you show up early in the morning, it's wet out, there's no warm up. How do you get locked into the round and get started quickly? So, first answer is I didn't. I want to take you to the first hole. So it's a wide open par four, and I had my decade line right over the left center of the fairway. And so just blasted driver went 307 into the right rough, which is fine. That was exactly where I wanted to miss it. And I had 86 yards left of the hole. And something I've been working on is getting better with my wedges and understanding how far they go. So I've been working on about, a 9 o'clock backswing with the 60. And usually that goes about 85 yards with a full finish. Problem was the ball was sitting up in the rough, a good solid inch and a half above the ground. So that's going to take distance off of it because the club head's going to slide underneath and all the weight of it and pop the ball up higher, which I didn't take into account being at 8 a.m. and it's raining. So you need to stay focused, need to stay locked in. So what happens was I got under it, ball popped up and went short right, and ended up going about 70 yards, 20 yards short of the hole. Tough spot to miss. Then from there, I'm sitting short right, and I've been working on this shot where I take a 52 degree, and I really put my hands forward to help de-loft it and take the spin off. So it plays a much more of a bump and run style shot. And so I hit that, and it rolled up to 4 feet. Great shot. But I wasn't locked in. I'm dealing with an umbrella. I'm dealing with the rain coming down, trying to keep the grips dry. I'm out of my routine. And the biggest thing I picked up in the last year or so is just the amount of mental focus it takes to really lock in and play well. So to do that, you have to have a consistent routine. You have to follow the same process over and over and over again, which gets really boring and really tedious, but it does produce good results. And when you drift off that path, it can spell disaster, which you also see later. So anyways, going through somewhat of a routine, not mine, end up pulling the putt just a touch and missing and starting off with a quick bogey. That's fine. Let's roll out to the second hole and played it well. Stepped up there in the rain, switched to 2 rain gloves, and just hit a nice drive with a little bit of a cut right down the center. Went 260, 265 into the wind. Leave me 140 yards left. And so this is another area I've been trying to work at. Instead of hitting every club as hard as I can, is actually being able to lay off and hit a little bit of a softer shot. So from 140, I'm typically hitting a pitching wedge, a solid hard one. But into the wind, it's going to spin too much. It's raining. I don't have a full grip. So what I'm going to do is actually go club up to my 9-iron. By doing that, I'm able to take a little bit of the spin off. If I mishit it a bit and it's wet, you're likely to, it's going to come up 5-10 yards shorter, especially with it being cold outside. So I ended up hitting that 9-iron just a little bit to the right, but ended up exactly pin high, 30 feet from the hole. And this has been another point I've been working at, is taking away a lot of the false expectations that come from your ideas of what golf should be and what the pros are doing. On average, 32 feet takes exactly 2 shots to hole out on the PGA Tour. So from 30 feet, you're not going to make a lot of them. It's average about 15 to 18%. So understanding that, you're just trying to 2-putt and get it close. That's really what saved me a ton of shots, is understanding par is a good score. You're probably going to 2-putt if you're outside of 8 feet, and making sure you just maintain the momentum and get the ball close to the hole. So I'll roll that up to a foot, tap in, easy done. Good par there. Rolling on to the third hole, this is where things, again, you have to stay patient and stay with it. It's a short par 5. looking at 5:30, a little bit of rain starting to let up now. It's starting to get warmer. So I hit driver with that little fade again, trying to avoid double cross and trying to play one shot at a time. So I take the driver out, hit it 307 right down the middle, just into the left rough. It's a good shot. And I have about 230 left up into the hill. So what's the one thing you can't do on a par 5 with the pin tucked back right? That's right, miss it short and miss it right. So miss it short right, have about 30 yards left up over a bunker. And that's where patience can really come in and change things. So what I was able to do there is recognize, hey, I'm probably not going to be able to get this tight or stone dead unless I go way up in the air, which brings in way too much risk. Let's get back on track and let's save a par here. So I end up playing out a lower pitch shot out to the left. And I hit a really good one where it landed into the bank and kicked up and a little bit right, which I wasn't expecting. Rolled to 6 feet. And again, going through my routine and trying to stay with it in the rain is difficult. Umbrellas out, trying to keep the grips dry, but I stay with it. End up just missing the putt on the high side. And that's one of the small things you forget when you don't play in the rain a lot or don't play golf a lot, is when you're putting on a wet green, the ball will tend to stay straighter because it's slower for one, and the ball tends to collect water in the center when it's rolling, and it keeps it from turning as much. So end up just missing that. Stay patient, just a little tap in, move on to the next hole. And that, I think, is going to be a theme you're going to see again and again and again. Just try to stay patient, make a bunch of pars. And if a putt happens to fall in, it's a phenomenal birdie and a nice break. So that moves us to the next par 3, 227 yards down the hill. I'm just playing for par. Used to think you had to hit the green on every par 3. You have to get tight. You have to make 2s. That's how you end up making a lot of 4s, is trying to stuff it when you shouldn't. So get up there, take a 4-iron out, and just miss it to the right side of the green, about 20 yards right. Totally fine spot. Just have a nice pitch over the bunker. Take out a 56 and hit a nice chip shot up and over, lands right on my target and rolls to 3 feet. Great putt, save par, move on to the next hole. And this is where things get interesting on this course. You run into a bunch of short par 4s in a row. So again, PGA Tour average from 300 yards, it takes 4 shots to hole out. So expectation is when you come to a short 4, you're making birdie. That can get in your head and can mess you up. You got to stay patient and stick to a game plan when you're coming up on these holes. And this is where I think I've really improved recently for 2 reasons. One is understanding those expectations and what that setting is. Knowing that you're probably going to make a 4 and a 3 means you executed really well. And 2, I packed on about 40 yards of distance in the last 2 years. So carry distance went up from about 265, 270 up to averaging 305 on a good solid hit. So what we're looking at here is something where I can get to the green. So playing the fade again. I take this thing, aim it just at the left edge of the green and play a high fade, which lands just short right. Great spot. And I'm not focused on the chip shot. I'm thinking, okay, this is an easy up and down, move on, make my birdie and get in front of myself. So I take that chip shot and I hit it just a little bit hard. It ends up scooting 18 feet past the pin. And I'm like, all right, have to take a step back. We're not going to 3-putt this and make a stupid bogey. So roll the putt up there, just misread it slightly again. Greens are still wet, still rolling straight. I played a little bit of break when I shouldn't have. End up tapping in for par. It's fine. And that leads to the next short 4. So it's 268 playing downwind. And with the 3-wood in my bag, it usually goes 250 because I got an older 3-wood and it's not quite fit properly for me. So still rolling with that one. End up absolutely nuking it. I hit it so pure and I thought, okay, this is all over the pin. And I would drive up there, look up, and it's nowhere to be found. looking all around, can't find it, can't find it, can't find it. So end up looking over the green. It's 20, 30 yards long because it took a big hop once it landed. So that's fine. You have to adjust expectations again. So I'm hitting out of a heavy rough and I hack it out and it flies about 10 feet. Not happy. This was supposed to be a short, easy birdie hole, and I thought I had a 10-footer for eagle. Now I need to struggle to get up and down and save par. So switch from a 60 back to a 56 for the third shot. And was able to clip it up there nicely with a little bit of spin. It spun left and down and stopped 3 feet from the hole. And I was grinding over this putt. And it moved about 1.5 inches from the left edge and hit the pin dead center. So I was able to save par, keep things going. And again, keep patient, stay patient. And that's moving on to this next short 4, which is a really weird hole. So on 7, I can actually pull this up for you guys, which is neat. Hard dog leg left. So I'm taking 5-iron out and aiming up over the corner of the trees. Looking somewhere right in here. Just trying to take a line up over the trees and pull it a touch into the left rough. Not bad. And I have 107 yards left. So taking out my 56 degree because it's playing slightly downwind, slightly juicy, but I don't account for it sitting up a little bit again. I get under it a little bit, pops up and ends up short right here, just onto the front edge of the green. And so just trying to stay patient, recognizing it's a 30-footer. You're probably not going to make a lot of them. So I'm just looking to lag this thing up to the front edge, just trying to get it close. Lucky for me, I played just enough, and this putt broke for some reason, which most usually don't at this course, which I'm starting to figure out. And I roll it in. So this was not the hole I was expecting to birdie, having to hit 5-iron wedge in and end up making a great 3 that actually held up for a skin there. So staying patient, staying consistent, and not blowing up because you missed a couple easy birdie opportunities is absolutely key. So that brought me back to even par. And this is where a trap could come in. We're rolling into the next hole here, which is a short par 3, about 160 yards. And par 3s have been something I've been struggling with for my entire golfing life. It's usually the hardest hole to play because they're actually putting you up with an iron in hand rather than using distance as the challenge. So we're back into the breeze. It's 160 yards. And I'm thinking I could get a 9-iron there, but if I hit it hard, it's going to spin more, which is going to make it come up short. So working on hitting that 3/4 shot, keeping a little bit of spin off of it, I take out the 8-iron, and I'm just looking to hit a dead straight shot to the middle of the green. Not looking to chase pins, not looking to play a tight draw into there, just trying to hit a straight ball to the center of the green. And it ends up falling just to the right side of my shot pattern. Because if you look at it on here, what you usually see is something that looks like this for a shot pattern. And I was trying to aim right here. It just happened to come up a little short and a little right. Don't know which one's coming, but that's what we were trying to hit. It's fine. So had 36 feet left, and it's the same mentality as that I had on the last hole. Just trying to get it close, knowing that you're probably not going to make 2 in a row to beat the odds. So I roll it up there to a foot, tap in, easy par, and it's low stress, which is all I'm looking for in par 3s. I'm not trying to make birdies. As long as I can make a par, we're good. We're going to take advantage of the holes where my distance can help me take advantage there. All right. And that's the end of that section here. We're coming up on a critical hole, which is the 9th. And this could set the tone for the rest of the round. So it's a hard dog leg left where it's about 310 to the green as the crow flies, but there's tons of overhanging pine trees and stuff I can't get over. So trying to dial back a little bit. What club will get me in position where I'm going to have a clear look at the green? And this is another area I've improved in a lot over the last month and a half. So taking a step back, over the last year or so, I've developed a bunch of power because I spent time doing speed training, getting in the weight room, and trying to get more distance because of strokes gained, which plays great down south in Florida or wide open courses. Wherever it's long and wide open, that's where my biggest advantage is. But if you're going to step things back and come into a tight tree line course, which you usually find up in Maine, you have to know when to take your foot off the gas and just get the ball in play. And that's something I was able to do here on the 9th. So I took hybrid off the tee, knowing that it was about 215 to the corner, right in here. And it's about 260 all the way through the fairway. So I know I'm going to be somewhere in between that. Ended up hitting the hybrid about 250, 255 right in play, leaving me 65 yards from the hole. And again, the wind's starting to kick up now. The sun's come out. It's getting warmer. Trying not to make a mistake from here. We got 65 yards and the pin's tucked in the back. And I'm not going to try to throw something behind the hole and spin it back. That's just where you're asking for trouble. So knowing that, hey, this could be an easy 4 or it could be a really dumb 5. Let's get it into the middle of the green and into play. So I've been working on a shot that takes a lot of spin off the ball and keeps it low and controlled with a 56 rather than a 60-degree wedge. So I'm able to play that shorter swing, less spin 56 right to the middle of the green. And it carried exactly 65, which was the number I was trying to hit it, and left me a 24-foot putt right up the hill. Again, I cashed in on the luck on the 7th hole, just trying to get this one close, rolled up to a foot, tap in, easy par, keep the momentum going. And that's something I really want to get better at, is understanding when to use the gas, which is usually on short 4s and par 5s, and when to lay back a little bit. And it's just knowing when you're out of position, just get a par, move to the next hole, and don't let it hurt you. So that's what we're looking at for the front 9. So this is a 9-hole course, and we're going to play the same 9 again on the back, but there are a couple differences in par, starting with the 10th. So the 10th is the same as the first hole, but it's stretched out to about 500 yards as a par 5. And this is, again, where I'm trying to work one shot shape off the tee. With the driver, I'm trying to cut it every single time. Just because, again, you're playing tighter tree line courses, and trying to work it both ways is very difficult to do with such a low lofted club. So recognizing that, I'm trying to play a little bit of a cut and just dead double cross it. Face shuts down a little bit, and this thing is a hot pull. And so it travels right into the trees. Luckily, it's well maintained and there's no brush in there. And it ends up right in between 2 trees, about 110 yards from the green, right over in here. And so this is where you're trying to gauge, should I go for it? Should I chip out and plan the percentages? I had a big window where I knew 90% of the time I'm going to get it through. So I was able to go directly at the left side of the green. I couldn't get at the flag, and that's fine. Because I know if I'm long or short, I have a chance to chip and get up and down. I just can't miss pin high left because I have no chance with it being 3 yards from the left edge. So I punch an 8-iron out, and it gets through there and kicks just left and bounds over long, which is exactly what I'm looking for because I know I have green to work with. So from there, I have about a 15, 20-yard pitch, and I nip it beautifully. It's sitting up in the rough, and I put a little bit of backspin on it, and it nips up to about 1.5 feet. I have an easy tap in birdie because on the second shot, I was able to understand where to miss and get back on the plan. That's something I've been working hard to do better at, and you're going to see where it goes wrong on the next hole. So we're back to 1 under after that shaky start with a bogey and a lucky birdie coming in on 7. Moving to the 11th hole, I'm pumped up from the birdie. And it's that same short 4, and it's playing dead back into the wind, and I absolutely unleash a driver. About a 10, 15 mile an hour wind, and I pop it out there 280 right down the middle. And the reason I mentioned it's into the wind comes into play on this next shot. So it's 120 to a middle left pin, and it's back into the breeze. So knowing that the 52 is going to spin way too much, because the harder you hit it, the more spin you put on it, it's going to come back. I go with the pitching wedge, which I usually hit 135, 140, and I'm trying to play a low shot in there. So back to the strategy, knowing where to miss. My goal on this shot is to actually miss on the right side of the green. If I was to draw a pattern, it would look like this, where only the shots on the left-hand side would actually land tight to the pin. And my goal is to hit it right here in the dead center of that pattern, right on the X. So playing it low, what usually happens if you don't turn through, the club face is going to shut down just a little bit and your tendency is to miss it left, which is exactly what happened. And I hit a low spinning shot with the pitching wedge, which I didn't expect to come out that way. And it landed here just onto the green on the left side and came sucking back. So I'm sitting just off the green, about 13 yards from the hole. Fine miss, not what you're looking for, but you are short-sighted. So from here, I roll a putt up there because that's another thing I've discovered. It's much easier to roll a putt than it is to hit a chip shot or a flop shot from just off the green. Anytime you can putt, roll it. You're going to end up closer 99% of the time. So I roll it up there close to about a foot. And this is where I'm kicking myself because it's a huge mental error. So I have a foot left and I'm playing with a group, and this one guy's having a bad hole and I want to give him a breather. Just take his time, let him reset. And I'm not thinking about myself, which is a huge mistake. You have to be so selfish to play golf well. So I set up to tap in my 1 footer, 2 footer. It's right in that range. And there's a little bug walking across my line. So I stop my routine, pick the bug up and throw it away. And then there's another bug there. So I bend over, pick up that bug, and I jump right back in where I left off. You can probably tell what happens next, but I end up just looking up and pulling the putt left and missing a 1 footer, which ended a perfect streak of pars and birdies that I'd had going since the second hole. Not happy. That's a mental mistake you can't make. You have to treat every shot with respect. And each one adds up to your score and your scoring average over the year. So if you can be locked in on those short ones, it's going to help you by 1 or 2 shots a year, which can mean the difference between tournament wins and tournament losses. So again, got to stay focused on every shot. So tough bogey, summarize, you got to stay focused, which leads into the next hole. Got to stay focused. So obviously I'm hot. I'm upset that I missed that shot. I missed that easy putt. And we're rolling into the 12th hole here, which is that par 5 again. So knowing what's just happened, I take a second, calm down, deep breath, and know that I have to play a fade off this tee. There's out of bounds all up on the left. There's water hazard on the right. It's about 50 yards wide. And knowing that, you got to rip the driver. So I know worst case scenario, if I miss right, I get a drop. If I miss left, I'm dead. So I hit the old Hideki hold off swing, please don't go left, and ends up traveling with a big 20-yard fade right into the middle of the fairway. It's a great miss. So knowing that, I have about 200 left to the center and 210 to the back pin, and it's dead into the breeze. So learning my lesson from the first time around, I know I can't miss right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to center my shot pattern right here in the center left portion of the green and play a fade. I'm trying to land it right here. That's exactly what happens. I play a nice spinny fade with my 4-iron and it plops right in the center of the green. And I have a 36-foot putt right up the hill with a little bump in the middle. Great spot to be. And again, I'm staying extremely patient because the tendency is to know, oh, I got to get not only that one back, but make the birdie that I was supposed to here. Try to make an eagle. No. Let's just get the speed right, get it up close, and if it falls in, it falls in. So I rolled it up to a foot, took my time, went through my routine on the second putt, and tapped in for an easy birdie. Just staying patient, staying focused was so key on this. So doing what we're supposed to do, taking care of the par fives, moving on to the next hole. It's that same par three again, and I'm trying to play a fade. Trying to fade every single shot if I can. So what we're looking at here is 185 yards downhill, and it's downwind. So I take out the 8-iron, and I know if I absolutely nuke it, I might get 5 yards past the pin. And if I miss it a little bit, it'll be front edge. And I caught a perfect little fade that dropped just right to 20 feet. Roll that putt up again, not expecting to make it, to an inch just short. If I had another half a turn, it would have dropped. But a good par, moving on to the next. Just maintaining the momentum, staying patient, and knowing that a par is a good score to keep you going, and a bogey is going to kill you. Just keep the momentum rolling. All right, we're back to that short drivable 4. And the tee box moved way right, so I can't see the green this time, but I know where it is. And I know I have to play a fade. Problem is my legs are getting a little tired, and I just closed the club face a touch. So it comes out dead straight with a hot pull. So end up missing the hazard that was running down the left center of the fairway just by about 5 yards, which is fine. As long as it's in play, as long as you can find it and hit it, that's all you're trying to do. And so it goes back from a short par 4 trying to make birdie to resetting to let's make a par here and guarantee that and give yourself an outside look at birdie. So from 60 yards, was able to put it on the middle of the green from a downhill lie, just knowing that it's going to grab with a new 60. Just let it grab. I put it to 18 feet, rolled the putt up there, just missed and tapped in for a par. Playing smart. All right. And this, again, we're in that stretch of short 4s. We should be making birdies, or should we? The expectation is 4s. We're trying to make pars here. So we roll back to that other short 4 where I went way over the green with that 3-wood last time. So this is where I'll come in and actually change up my strategy just a little bit. After knowing I can't miss long and it's dead downwind, I'm going to take out hybrid on this hole. So I hit hybrid and I catch it just off the toe. So it comes out dead and lands 30 yards short, which is fine. It's a much better miss than being long in the tall grass. So I have about 30 yards left. I'm going to play that low bump and run shot again with that 52, and it comes off perfectly to 4 feet. Again, with the expectations, it should be a 4, but we hit a good shot and we executed, roll it up to 3 feet, tap in for an easy birdie. You need to manage those expectations, and if you execute the shots well, you're going to have a good score. If you miss a shot, you have to fall back to the game plan of making par. All right. And that rolls back to this hole here where we made the 3 in the first 9 to get the ground started. I went long into the left rough. So I peeled back to a 7-iron. It's time to get it up over the trees and keep it short. And it just had a massive double cross. Was trying to hit a fade and hit a big old draw. Ended up just fine in the middle of the fairway, but 150 out. And that resets the expectations. We were trying to make birdie by putting in position for a wedge, but now we got 150 yards left downwind. It's full pitching wedge time. We're just trying to make par here. So understanding that, my target was the pin because it's in the dead center of the green. But knowing that it's okay, just knowing how shot patterns work, that it's going to miss either right or left or short or long. I'm just trying to give myself the best potential to get it close and keep it on the green. So I aim dead center right here and end up pulling it just a touch. Ended up 40 feet away. And that leads to exactly what you'd expect. A nice routine 2-putt because I'm just trying to get the speed right. All right. So we are 2 under par. Coming into the last 2 holes. and we're one shot in the lead. So trying to hang on to a lead is never good. You need to keep executing the same shots, the same game plan that you had coming in, no matter what the score is, because you're not going to be able to force a birdie or force an eagle. They just naturally happen. So you want to put yourself in the best position to do that at any time. So looking at the 17th here, we got 220-yard par 3. And I know I just can't miss left. The pin's on the left. I have no chance to get up and down. So what I'm doing is I'm aiming in the center of the green. Let me pull up that quick drawing again. So I'm trying to get my shot pattern to be centered right here in the center of the green. And I end up just fanning it because I'm not committed to the shot. I was trying to play a little bit of fade back into the wind, and I just left the club face open. Ended up way outside on the right here. So understanding that, that's the correct side to miss on. So now it becomes a game of, hey, can we get back on track with the plan and put yourself in a position to have a putt at par? So I play a bump and run shot that lands just onto the green and releases up to 12 feet, just slightly misjudged it. And this is where occasionally you have to step up and just make a putt. And the nice part about this whole taking a step back is I'm playing with a group, and I saw the 3 guys ahead of me all make putts, and we combined this hole for 4 putts as a group, which is awesome. Sometimes you feel the flow, and that's where the one-off side of golf and life comes in. But I have a 12-footer. I know it's going to break because it's my second time seeing the green, and I put it just outside the right and let go of all expectations. Just try to put a good speed on it, hit a good putt, and it ends up taking the break perfectly and slamming right into the middle of the flagstick. So those par saves can be so clutch when you're out of position. You're just trying to keep the momentum going. So that kept me 1 shot in the lead going into the last. All right. And again, we're seeing the same thing. 18, it's the same distance as the 9th hole. Could take driver up over the trees, but it would require a massive shot. We're just trying to get the ball and play off the tee. End up ripping a hybrid way right. And it takes a huge hop because the fairways have dried out and it runs just off into the back. So I got about 110 yards left, which is a fine spot to be in. Clean lie just coming out of the rough, but it's dead downwind. And so this is where the thinking and the strategy comes in here. If I'm trying to get at the pin, knowing it's 115 yards out, I'd probably hit a 52 and try to catch a little bit of a spinner and drive it in there and have it stop. Here's the problem. It's downwind and the pin's in the back. If anything, it's going to carry longer than I expect. So I drop back down to a 56, which I usually carry about 105 to 110, knowing that if I nuke it, it's going to get all the way back to the pin. It's going to be perfect. If I miss it a little bit, the wind's going to be behind. It's going to carry that 105, and I'll have a 30-footer up the hill, which is just a fine spot to be in. You got a 1-shot lead. We're playing for par. So it ends up coming out 105 yards right into the center of the green, exactly where I wanted to leave if I missed it. And this is the cool part. I end up making the putt. Had a 30-footer dead up the hill that moved about 2 inches to the left, and I rolled it right into the center for a closing birdie to win by 2. So occasionally, if you just keep your speed consistent, you play conservative golf, variance will come your way, and you'll actually end up making birdies that you shouldn't have because you stay patient and consistent. So as long as you can stick to the strategy, play conservative, and get the ball into the right spot and stick to the game plan, you're going to put yourself in positions to shoot 1 or 2 under par. If you stack up those rounds again and again and again and again and again, you're going to win a lot of tournaments. And that's what I found this year. I've already won 15 tournaments since the beginning of the year. And it's come from just playing consistent, conservative golf and stacking up pars when everybody else has a blow up hole with a bogey or a double, when they could have just played conservatively and made an easy par. So the birdies will come when you get lucky. It's your job to maintain pars and stick to the game plan. So hopefully this helps you guys a little bit. I'm just trying to do this for my own sake and my own learnings to try to get better at this and actually take it to a point where I get so good at the mental side, I need to actually pick up the physical side again, because the mental side has carried me much further than my physical skills did when I was a kid and could practice every single day and hit crazy shots and pull off tight draws and high cuts. Now it's playing one shot shape, being able to play consistently to a conservative spot and letting putts fall in has produced much better, much more consistent scores than when I was a much better ball striker as a kid. So hopefully this helps you guys. I'm going to do a few posts like this, recapping rounds, and publish it out there for everybody to see. But I appreciate the time today. If you guys have any comments or suggestions, would love to hear it. Catch up soon.